Hey everybody, welcome to Notes My Goats podcast. I'm Steve.
I'm Brandon.
What's going on, dude?
Oh, dude, not a whole lot. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's May.
It is. It's gonna be May.
And it's probably only snowed like one or two more times in April.
At least right now, at time of recording, it was a high of like 78 today. So that
and it's gonna be 32 on Sunday.
Yeah, because Michigan
it's Michigan.
crazy.
And then 65 again on like the next like 2 days later. That's what happens. Don't plant shit for another week or two, guys.
Right.
Just kind of works out.
Yep.
Steve, your Farmer's Almanac helping out here.
There
Mostly
you go.
my mother-in-law, she helps me with that stuff.
Hey, there you go.
I don't plant shit, it dies. The whole
I like
watering
it.
and taking care of things, that nurturing versus nature.
Sure.
If my potatoes make it, if they've been good potatoes. If they don't, well, they fucking suck too.
My potatoes are at the grocery store on aisle 4 or whatever.
Well,
So
I've also heard your milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
wow.
Which would be a violation of your
Damn
HOA,
right.
by the way, just so you know.
What? Bringing my milkshakes?
Yeah, you can't have your milkshakes because it brings all the boys to your yard, which is a violation of your HOA.
Oh,
I mean, it brought me to your yard last year.
That is true.
And it did. And
it's true.
Speaking of your milkshake, Brandon.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Who are we talking to today?
Oh man.
I guess I'm his milkshake.
Apparently. I was thinking about
that
this
was the better transition than he's ever done. Just saying.
That's
right
true.
now.
Absolutely. So I've been thinking about this today on how I was going to introduce this guy, and I thought about it. I was like, okay, so how long have I actually known Jay? And it's like, well, okay, so going back, I would say at least 15 years, at least.
Oh yeah.
And going back
You've known me by 3 different names at least.
At least for sure. And then like your artist names have changed here to represent more of who you are and your evolution in that. So guys, please welcome friend of the podcast, friend of mine. We've got musician, podcaster, producer, and probably one of the greatest IT professionals in all of America. Guys, give it up for Jay Gafford. Jay, welcome to the podcast. How are you, sir?
I am great. This has literally been like a year coming, so I'm stoked that we finally made it work, and I'm excited to be here.
Dude, you did forget to mention, Brandon, that Jay was instrumental in helping us kick this podcast off.
Oh, he was. Steve, how did I forget?
Jay created our very first theme song for the first like at least 20 or 30 episodes.
You know what, Steve?
We might actually use it for this one.
I think I'm going to. Just because.
Brandon Alberta and Steve Madole.
Yes.
I think I'm gonna.
We might pull it out.
Just for this episode. I think it'll make a return. I love it. So Jay, thanks for coming on the podcast. We have been throwing different albums and stuff off the wall for the last year, and finally we nailed it to the wall. Yeah. I was gonna say we nailed it, which take that how you will. And we've figured out what we're talking about today. So Jay, what artist are we talking about, and what album of theirs are we talking about?
So we are going to be talking about one of my favorite artists, and honestly an artist that over the years I've grown to love even more because of who he is as a person, even beyond the music that he makes. And that is the one and only Post Malone. My man Posty. I love him. I love him as a person. I love his creativity. I love his like no fucks given attitude. He's just fully himself, and that's something that I super admire. So we're going to be talking about his full-length album from last year called 12 Karat Toothache, and yeah, I could not be more excited.
Yeah, this is going to be great.
Yeah, so and I actually have to admit, I had not listened to a full Post Malone album until listening to this one.
Same.
Interesting.
Like,
okay.
I had listened to tracks, so there's definitely tracks on the radio, and I listen to him when he does like country covers because he's amazing at those.
He's so good at it.
And like he's like, if you guys didn't know, Post Malone is actually Brad Paisley's Post Malone songwriter now. It just kind of worked out. That was a thing on TikTok because he.
I was about to say, wait, is that real?
Yeah, Brad Paisley actually came out and said, "I'm Post Malone's songwriter now. That's your song. You can have that."
Brad Paisley is Posty's ghostwriter.
Yeah, and he just recently did a video recently with him doing the Chattahoochee song from Alan Jackson.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. I'm like,
yeah.
Wait a minute, like, dude, like,
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you to stay in your lane because your lane is all over the damn place. But holy crap, man!
Well, he started in metal bands, so like
Yeah.
he's all over the place, which
He's
it's probably why I like have so much respect and he inspires me so much, is because I kind of do the same thing. I kind of make
just
whatever
goes
music I
all
want to
over.
make.
Right.
Right, and it's right here. So I've got some backstory on post stuff. If I get some things wrong, let me know, and I will I will eat some crow. But I probably did
I
get some
won't
things
say
wrong.
anything because I don't know shit.
Jay
So-
may know. Jay will probably know if I screw something up.
That's true.
It's bound to happen. All right, so we have Austin. Where's my notes here? There they go. Austin Richard Post is his full name. He's an American
Wrong.
rapper.
You're wrong. I'm just kidding.
I was wrong, actually. I got it wrong there. American rapper, singer, songwriter, active since 2011. He was born in New York. Syracuse, New York is where he was born. Dude's lived all over the place, and currently, right now, he's got a compound in Utah. It's kind of where he chills out. I believe
Which
he lives.
is so funny. Like, when's the last time you heard a celebrity be like, you know what? I want to live in Utah.
Yeah. Apparently, that's been like his happy place since COVID.
It's beautiful. It's a
and
beautiful state, but
he just was like, I'm going to Utah because ain't none of y'all here.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So like he had spots in Texas too. He's kind of been all over, but Utah's kind of where he's put roots down right now. So I just read that about him too recently.
he was super
here.
jazzed to move there.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends that live in Utah and they love it.
Please tell me that didn't just go over both of your heads.
Oh,
Utah
damn
jazz.
Damn it. You know what, Jay? It's late. I'm only like half a drink in too, so don't even start with me. Yeah, you got me. You got me. So, eat a little crow there. Active since 2011, so he's only been active for a little over 10 years, which is really weird. But it's got 4 studio albums, 5 potentially now. One that just recently came out. Or he's got one coming out really shortly here. All debuted in the top 5 on the Billboard 200. 39 music videos, 36 singles. He has won 10 Billboard Awards, has 3 American Music Award wins, and has 6 Grammy nominations. Hasn't won a Grammy yet. I say yet because he's going to eventually.
I was gonna say this. I mean, I wouldn't mind
doing
seeing
stuff for
this
movies
I
now
wouldn't
and
mind
everything
seeing
else.
this album be in there somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know what this one was. I think this was actually nominated in the past Grammys. He didn't win anything for it though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What kind of pushed him out there is song Circles off the Hollywood Bleeding album is kind of what gave him his big push. It spent 39 weeks in the top 10 on the Hot 100.
Nice.
So
that was like his first mainstream single, but White Iverson is really what put him on the map in the underground scene.
Yep, Circles is what made him nationwide, worldwide. That's what kind of like, look at this tattooed guy, and then everybody was just like, wow, this tattooed guy can really sing, and then and it was just like now I'm looking at the sideshow, and now they're like, what? And it just kind of like down the rabbit hole a little bit here, which that happens with most underground artists that start out is you like you find something to look at, and you're like, well, look over here. Oh wait, he's super talented, but I'm still looking over here. What's going on over there? Yeah. And he plays that card very, very well. Now Post has professed his love for all music, as we stated before. He is a huge alternative rock fan. We've said he's dabbled in metal. He does a lot of country. He actually did sing with Sublime with Rome for his birthday party. He got on stage, sang a couple of songs, and then played a couple on guitar. And dude's amazing on guitar too.
He's an incredible
he can slay. Yes. The video of him doing the couple of songs of Sublime with Rome are just like he's having the best time of his life. He's like so freaking happy, but like he's up there and he's just killing it, and it's amazing. So now, as for tattoos, we did mention his tattoos. He, as of when I was doing this research, he had over 80. And he's got more now. But he says that, and talking about them is what everybody kind of focuses on at first. It's how people are like, what the hell is up with this guy? Has all his tattoos, and a lot of them are on his face and like very, very visible. He actually has come out and said that these all have come from a place of insecurity based on how he looks. He didn't never like the way he looked. It was all very, very insecure about that. So he kind of literally and figuratively put a mask on. So you're focusing on what he wants you to focus on versus what he doesn't want you to focus on. So I think we all do that per se, with different things of our lives. We put the mask on. He just did it literally. So
well, and he did it in his music for a good period of time as well. I mean, if you go back to his first two albums, which are Stoney and Beer Bongs and Bentleys, and he was heavily drugged up and like very much an alcoholic, very not in a good place as far as that's concerned. And the reason there was a 3-year gap between Hollywood's Bleeding in 2019 and this album, and that 3-year gap was literally because he had sunk so deep into depression that he wanted to quit at one point, and then was finally able to get himself out of that. And I think that's another reason why I like connect with him so much, is because like I've been there, I still am there sometimes, and it's really, and he talks about it all the time. He's like not shy about it. He accepts that was something he struggled with, and that's we need more of that from huge name artists to talk about those kind of things.
100% agree with you. He wears his mental health struggle on his sleeve, and he actually has come out and said that COVID was one of the worst and best things that ever happened to him. It forced him to really look inward, and while he was alone, a lot of times, like he just had to kind of like, holy shit, and figure this out, because he was gonna quit, and like COVID kind of put the road between them. Like he could go one way or the other. He decided to keep going through music. He just changed his style and changed how he lives his life a little bit. And some of the songs on here really, on this album, really do go after that too. Now I looked this number up just recently because I did the research a little while ago. But how many monthly Spotify listeners do you think Post pulls on an average basis?
Well, I already know the answer to that, so I'll let
Brandon, what do you got?
I'm gonna go 62 million.
You're a little high, but not bad. 51.
Around 50, right? Yeah, 51.
Yeah, 51. When I did the research a few months ago when we were going to record this originally, he was almost a 60. So he bounces between 45 and 65 on a month, and on like a 30-day rotating schedule area.
Sure.
It probably reflects when he drops albums too. So like when he puts an album out, it's probably on the high end for like the months after that, and then probably drops a little bit.
A little bit. I also think it helps when he posts stuff. When he posts some of his stuff on TikTok goes viral, it pushes it more too. Not even when he puts out new music, because he was, I mean, between Hollywood Bleeding and this one, he was still hitting this in the 50s and 60s, but he was doing a lot of stuff on social media talking about mental health and kind of putting his message out there. People were kind of going back through and listening to some of his stuff, being like, oh,
and he hung out with Jimmy Fallon a handful of times. He did some sketches with him and whatnot.
He's very big on social media and uses that platform and he does a lot of his own social media, but he uses that platform very, very well, especially TikTok. He uses that program very well.
Yeah.
Well, and he also has, I call him the Keanu of hip hop and pop music, because that's like what he's kind of become known for on social media as well, is like so many like fan videos of capturing just these beautiful moments where he's connecting with the fan or connecting with the crowd or something like that, and you see him interact with people, and he just seems so genuine and he's so giving, and that's what I mean. The same thing with like Keanu Reeves. Everybody talks about that, and Brendan Fraser, and like there's this group of guys right now that like is just like protect them at all costs, and I think Post is like, as far as the music industry, I think Post is that guy.
And I would say the country side of things, it's Luke Combs.
Yeah.
And the country music side, it's Luke Combs. But yes, and Post is right there with him in the country side of things too, because like I said, he does dabble over. So that's like, but Luke Combs is the same way. Like you see videos of Post Malone with his fans. I mean, dude broke his damn leg on stage and finished the show.
Yeah.
Like fell through a damn stage and finished the show. He's fell off the stage multiple times and finished the show. He is also responsible for one of my favorite memes of all of the world. When he's there, that one.
Yeah.
Because that's all of us at any point.
Yeah.
There it is. And I mean, that meme won me over to Post Malone. And anyways, I was like, I made that exact face. Like,
yeah.
I can't tell you how many versions of that meme I've sent to my girlfriend.
We've all, as men, we've all been there. And like,
Yeah.
It's like looking in a mirror. Damn it.
Right.
We can't say you haven't met it. It's one thing. Now, a 12 karat toothache was released June 3rd, 2022. So it's almost a year old. It doesn't really seem like it's been out that long.
That's wild.
It's 14 tracks, 43 minutes long. It is actually his shortest album to date.
There is a deluxe version that's 49 minutes and has 16 tracks. So
correct. Yep. The deluxe version had 2 more tracks on it. But this one was 14 tracks, 43 minutes long, and I love the length. We're fantastic. That like 39 to like or 35 to like 55-minute length.
Yeah,
it's great because I have ADHD and I can't do it. As I mentioned, it is his 4th studio album. It does feature artists. It features Doja Cat, The Weeknd, Fleet Foxes, and the Kid Laroi are the major ones. There's a few other ones that are on here as well. He does do a lot of collaborations with artists you may not think he would collaborate with. Just does it marches to his own drum.
Fleet Foxes is a freaking indie acoustic folk band, like
something you wouldn't even expect. It
right.
just it's like, and it's one of the we'll get to that song in a little bit here. Now
we will.
It debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200, selling 121,000 copies in its first week, physical copies. So it actually did sell 121 physical copies, 121,000 physical copies in its first week. Now he did.
Your kid is blurred behind you.
That's not my kid. That's my wife.
Oh, that's your wife.
That was my wife. That was my wife. And I definitely saw the shadow, but I wasn't looking at her. I was looking at my screen this way, and then she was waiting for me to acknowledge her, or one of you to acknowledge her. That'll be on video.
I just saw a blur.
I was just gonna let her do that until somebody said something.
Yeah, that's what she was hoping for. So she was.
I just thought it was one of your kids just like being a jerk.
You're not wrong, and I was hoping that she was gonna get bored and walk away, which is another. It's like 50-50 in that situation.
Right.
So, as I said, now Post is actually going to attempt to put out 2 projects in 2021, but due to the pandemic, he wasn't able to complete the projects. Now, he stated that because he couldn't tour, he wasn't really motivated to write or work on anything new during this time period. So, like as Jay said, he was kind of going through some stuff, and a lot of artists are big on workshopping live. Like you just figure shit out while you're on the road. The things kind of come to you. You're not in the same place every single time, so you can kind of do some stuff. Plus, I would assume when you're touring, you have some downtime that you wouldn't normally have when you're at home. So you could kind of write and get some shit out. And he said that because he couldn't tour, he didn't really want to. He just was like, he wasn't motivated enough to actually do it. And I think another way we can all relate with him is, the pandemic was shit for a lot of us.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be those history books that have like the German history books from like 1940 to like 1946, and we're like, what happened? Nothing happened. Like American history from like 2016 to like 2021 coincides with a certain number of a president that I'm not going to mention.
It's just going to be like a big dumpster with like a fire coming out of it. Like that's all it is.
The meme of the dog in the house when the whole house is just in flames.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine, guys. It's okay. Nothing happened. There's going to be, in seriousness, there's going to be college level courses about this 4-year period of our lives. Like the effect that the pandemic had, and it's going to be governmentally funded research, billions of dollar research projects of how the amount of what's going on during this pandemic really affected us for years down the road, and how things changed and how things should not have changed and did. And so I think we all can relate, and it's kind of one of those fucked situations that it seems like we're getting back to normal, but who the fuck knows what normal is anymore?
100%.
But so that was him during this time, and he's spoken a lot about the pandemic. It was a big deal for him, and I think it was good for all of us to kind of hear that. Now, singles, they had 3 singles. I don't think anything came out of the deluxe album, but it was 3 main singles. One right now with The Weeknd, Cooped Up, and I Like You, a happier song, were the singles. So, Brandon, let's start with you.
Oh boy.
What was your favorite track from the album?
Yeah, so the track that I picked was Love Hate Letter to Alcohol was my favorite track on this one.
God damn you.
Hey, it's all right. The thing that first captured my attention with this track was the dramatic, almost cinematic aspect of the beat that was happening throughout. Super catchy. On top of that beat, though, the story that Post describes, it's very descriptive. Like he knows what words he's going to use, and he uses them intentionally. And you can really picture kind of what he's saying in your mind's eye as he's telling this story. And so for me, I think this was one of, I mean, they're all really good tracks, but like for this one, I could clearly follow along with everything that he was saying with this one. And it's a deep track, which we'll get into our deep cut tracks later. But like for this one, I really loved the storytelling along with the cinematic aspect of the music. So that one, it was why I picked it as my favorite. So Jay, let's go over to you. What was your favorite track?
So Love Hate Letter to Alcohol was my number one, and that's the one that I still play on repeat. I have it in playlists. It's the one I go back to the most. And I think it a lot of it is sonically, it's such a different song. It's so I mean, cinematic is a good way to describe it, but it's very full. There's a lot going on in it instrumentally, and there's so many vocal samples that are all throughout it, and it's almost like slightly like a choir at the very beginning. It doesn't even start with music, it just starts with voices, and it's so cool. And it just has it's one of those songs that when I'm having a really rough day, I listen to that song because it just connects to me in a certain way. But I'll pick a different one. My number two off of that is actually Lemon Tree, which is the third track on the album. I absolutely fucking love this song. And what's ironic is when I first listened to the album when it came out, I wasn't even sure about this song. But the more I've listened to the album and the more I've listened to this song, I absolutely love it. It's just different. Like, it's very different from any Post song that I've heard on previous albums. I mean, you've got the acoustic guitar for most of it, and it's very kind of stripped back instrumentally, but lyrically it's so incredibly deep if you actually like look at the lyrics. And like the first line of the chorus is, looking around and all I see is people happy with what they're given. And I'm like, that, like, is that not us a lot of times? Like, we're looking at social media, we're looking at people in our daily lives, we're looking at all these people, and we're always looking, and like, it's almost like the whole grass is greener thing, right? But this song, he's talking about like, I was given shitty lemons, so I'm gonna throw them out and I'm gonna build something better. And like, I just love the way that he is kind of like flipping the whole like, when life gives you lemons make lemonade thing on his head. He's like, fuck lemonade, I'm gonna make what I want to make. And it's almost like this like pseudo punk rock mentality of just like, I'm going to, I don't care about the bad hand that I was given, I don't care all of the shit that I've faced up to this point. Like, I'm making the decision now that I'm gonna, I mean, the end of that is, and grow me something better. Like, fuck lemons, I'm gonna grow watermelons, or I'm gonna grow, like something that like that I can grow and build. And I also think vocally in this song, like the thing that stuck out to me the first time was the better, like the way that he says that in that song is so weird, but I love it. Like, absolutely. Like, it's almost twangy, like it's very unique. And so that was easily my number two favorite behind Love Hate Letter to Alcohol. But I love that track.
Nice. I love it. Steve, what about you, man?
So Love Hate Letter to Alcohol is going to come up again for me. But my favorite one I listened to, and I kind of was back and forth. There's a lot of decent tracks on here. And I picked one that I didn't think that I was going to like, because I do not like this feature artist very much.
Okay.
And I picked I Like You, a Happier song.
It's so fun.
I'm not a fan of Doja Cat usually. Yeah. I like Doja Cat on her own. I'm not a big fan. We've done an album, but the song is fun and it's just it's upbeat. It's a little bit different, and then to have it follow the I cannot be a sadder song. Like after that, like you're just like he like puts you on this roller coaster of like, oh, like the first couple of songs were they were a decent groove. You had kind of an upbeat ish, but they kind of stayed that level. And then I like you, so you're thinking you're going up. Like you're just like he's building, and then all of a sudden he's just like, nope.
Well, like wrapping around your finger is like you're saying, it's going into happier music, and then
it's like album construction wise, you're like, all right, we're gonna have this is gonna be a post pandemic happy Post Malone. Let's go. And then he's just like, no, don't worry. We'll come back to that moment, but we're not going there now. We're going downhill. And I like that. The song makes me laugh. It's very simple. There's not a lot going on with it. The chorus is fun. I think listening to it, and I've listened to it a few times even today, is the line, your heart's so big, but that ass is huge. Just every single time I'm like,
yeah.
Yup. Okay. I mean, that's his meme right there. Like,
yeah. Yes, for sure.
Thank you for putting those words into my head, because I have those thoughts on a daily basis. And
and I love your heart, but that ass is
yes, and that's I was distracted. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah.
But I loved that track, and
eyes up here, buddy.
Yeah, right.
Eyes up here, yeah. I'm not a piece of meat. I was just like, yeah, I love that he's kind of having fun, and then you like look at it, you're like, we're not gonna have fun for a little while, are we? No, we're not. So but I liked that. So it is time for us to play a game.
Mm-hmm.
Now it is time for the post wang.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the wang after the initial wang.
Yeah, you got pre wang, you have your mid wang, and you have your post wang.
You know, Hobbits, it's second wang. Wang.
Knock one out first before you start before. It's a good thing.
Let's play wang. Let's play wang. Word association name game.
So, guys, this is the word association name game. What has happened here is I've picked two songs and have come up with phrases that kind of will give you a clue as to what song I'm talking about. It could be actually the title of the song. I just associated different words to it, or something that I thought was funny. So you guys have to guess where I'm going here. I picked two.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's only, and I didn't use the deluxe, so it's only the first 14 tracks.
Okay.
All right. I'm pretty excited about my first one.
Of course you
are. A clown posse of sorts.
Insane.
Yes.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
Have to have at least one ICP reference on the podcast. We've hit our quota. I don't have to do it again for another 200 episodes.
There you go.
We're never gonna do an ICP album. It'll never fucking happen.
You say that, and now tonight I'm gonna go put it on our calendar. So
Randy will lose his mind by doing it. Oh, if you're doing that, do the Great Blanco. Not that I would know that. Shit.
Steve is a closet juggalo.
There's no Hatchet Man tattoo on me. We're good to go. I don't have that. I do know people that have them though, and I shouldn't quote about that either. All right, I've gone deep into my own psyche.
Over my head, whatever.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
You'd be a terrible juggalo.
I mean,
Brandon, you'll always be my juggalo.
Hey. Thanks, Jay. I appreciate it. Sorry, Mikey, if you're listening to this.
He has no idea what that means, Jay, so it's okay. He's gonna show up at your house tomorrow and spray you in the face with Fago right in the face right before you leave. He's like, hold you, fucker. Out the door. I love it. He's gonna drop a whoop whoop and walk out the door. Man, I've given way too much information that I know too much about juggalos. Son of a bitch.
Now I think I'm gonna go listen to Insane Clown Posse tomorrow.
He actually has that tattoo, and it's a tramp stamp, so we can't see it. The shirt's always covering it, but it's there.
Yes. Only his wife has seen it. I like it. All right. It's second one.
Yep.
Doesn't happen often in my house.
Euthanasia? No, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say When I'm Alone.
It is When I'm Alone,
nice.
but I like Jay's better.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened in my house, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Yet.
And now you're kind of piecing together why there might be some sort of like stank underneath your shed in the back.
That's why Jay moved to St. Louis.
Right.
It's all those dead juggalos under your front porch. And sorry, this
that would explain a lot of things. Actually,
that would explain.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh God.
This game brought to you by ICP.
Yeah.
They don't like Kid Rock either.
When you say ICP and we talk about wangs, ICP.
That also happens every time you go to a pro sports event. Because they have like the troughs that you ICP.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like it.
Oh my gosh, the first time I ever had to do that.
Such terrible jokes.
Yeah, the first time I ever peed in a trough, that was just the weirdest thing. You're just like, what is happening right now?
Do you one better? At least you don't have a little boy you gotta teach to do that.
That's accurate.
And to not grab the pink little things in there.
Oh. Yes, they're cakes, but they don't taste like cake.
Every time I think of urinal cakes, I just think of I Love You Man and the guy who is trying to sell houses by putting his face on. Yeah, they're pissing on me every morning.
Yeah, 100%.
There you go, Brandon. Yeah. That'll help you out.
Yep, for sure.
All right, now let's get into our least favorites here. We've done down some rabbit holes in this one. Holy shit!
Absolutely.
All right, so our least favorites. I'll go first.
Okay.
Because I might get shit for this. I don't know, maybe not.
Uh-oh.
I picked a single.
Okay.
I picked One Right Now.
Interesting.
Okay.
It doesn't fit. The song doesn't fit.
Why?
It's too upbeat for that back half of the album. It doesn't fit the way it was put in there. I like The Weeknd. I don't think it fits. I didn't like where it was, and I don't like The Weeknd with Post Malone.
I think if they would have put it after Wasting Angels, that probably would have been a better place for it.
Yes, with the Kid Laroi in there, I think so too. I like The Weeknd. I like The Weeknd a lot.
The Weeknd,
but I don't think One Right Now seems more of a Weeknd track with a Post Malone feature. To me, it's
like musically.
And I think musically, I think that's more. And I don't think it's Post Malone's fault. I don't think it's The Weeknd's fault. I just think the style of music that they went with on that track, it fits The Weeknd's style a lot more than what it fits for Post style. And his persona and how The Weeknd actually does his music, he takes shit over. He's the alpha. And Post Malone, while he's amazing, he will sit back a little bit. And I think he sat back on this one, and The Weeknd took that track. When I listened to that radio, I didn't know it was a Post Malone song. I thought it was a Weeknd track, and that Post was on it.
I wonder if that was one of the kind of early tracks that they decided they were going to have as a single before the rest of the album came together. So they had already like had it be a single, so it had to be on the album.
I want to say that one came out well before the album came out, because it was the first single.
That was the first single, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you think they just kind of tacked it on to the end?
I think it was put in there because it's a good. I mean,
now let's be honest though. Like realistically, like track 14, the new recording, like that's yes, it's a track, but it's more just kind of like there at the end. You could almost say that One Right Now could legitimately be like the last track of the legitimate track of the album. So
it was released November 5th of 21.
Yeah.
So the album came out, we said
June.
in
so almost
June,
6 months.
June
6 months later.
Yeah, 7 months.
7 or 8 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
interesting.
In the world we live in of social media, TikTok, that track was everywhere for a long time. So like, it didn't for me. It didn't fit the vibe of the album. Like I just didn't. It didn't. I don't know. And it doesn't say anything wrong about any of their tracks. Like I just couldn't find anything else, and I had to nitpick a little bit. And that one, while I like the track, I just don't see it as a Post Malone song. I see it as a Weekend song.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know. So I figured I was gonna like push like I'll probably get some shit like from other people on this one. I'll get away with it, but
I mean I can see your point, but yeah.
And I didn't want to pick another one. I was like, there was other ones that I could have went with, but it was even more nitpicky than that. Like I was just like, okay, I didn't like this beat, and that was all it was. It's like I liked the track, but I didn't like this beat. Like with one right now, I just felt like it didn't fit, and I could see it. Maybe if it did actually legit end the album, and there wasn't that like bonus track on there, the new recording or whatever.
What you're describing to me feels like what happened when NF put out Y. That he put out like a year and a half before that album came out, and you could tell that stylistically the rest of the album was written way after that one was, and so it was in that album, but it didn't, to me it didn't really feel like it fit that album. That's kind of what, like I feel like that's kind of what you're thinking about.
Yeah, and that's what I think that's where I'm going with, because I it was just released in November of 21. When did they record that? Did they record it together? Did they record it like in the pandemic some point? But it was,
I would imagine
it was probably recorded sometime in 2020, and I'm guessing that some of these songs were written after that, like where he was still in the midst of everything that was kind of going on. So like, it just didn't,
for sure.
I don't know, it didn't fit the vibe of the album for me personally. But I don't know, it's kind of one of the personal choices here. So Brandon, what about you? What was your least favorite?
All right, so I actually picked Cooped Up as my least
I don't know
favorite.
if you can hear me.
Yep, we got you.
Oh,
I can hear you.
Back?
Yep, we got you.
Okay, you guys, it's saying my internet connection is unstable. I don't know how that's possible.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the IT guy's internet is unstable.
I have 400 gig internet. There's no way that. Okay. Anyways, you guys are both back. So.
You're good.
All right, Brian, start over.
Yeah, so my least favorite, I actually picked Cooped Up.
God damn you. Fuck you. You take my favorite. You take my fucking least favorite.
Wow.
Well, okay. I'm curious as to what then your deep cut track is, but we'll get there in a minute. So this album was very tough, honestly, to nail down a least favorite, because each song, in my opinion, really does have a story to tell. But I chose this one because of all the tracks on this album, this is the one track that I felt was the most repetitive in nature lyrically. I definitely liked other tracks on this album more because he was able to be more articulate throughout the whole song. Didn't really go back and forth on like, you know, some of these like bubblegum pop songs that like show up in people, like things are repetitive in nature. And I felt like he always had new things to say in other tracks on this album, whereas in this one, there was just a lot more repetitiveness. And so for me, it was definitely a nitpicky thing, but that was why I picked it. So
I will challenge you for 1 second, Brandon.
Nope, you picked One Time More or whatever that track was.
No. So. I have it for Cooped Up. I actually have something. I wondered if you've listened to it.
Oh, okay.
So in October of 2022, he did a mashup, and he used Cooped Up and Return to the Mac, and he mashed them up.
Okay.
So it's on Spotify. It's only 2 minutes long, but he changed the beat up a little bit on it and really kind of used the chorus of Return to the Mac to like kind of liven that song up a little bit.
Okay.
So while I get you, I understand Cooped Up. Yes, that was on my list of least favorites. It was there.
Sure.
But check out when you get a chance. Check out that mashup. It's on his Spotify, or it's probably on Amazon Music too, where you find your stuff. So it might change your mind a little bit, or you might appreciate it a little bit differently with that extra flavor added to it.
Okay.
Because I get what you're saying. It is very repetitive. It is very like meh.
Yeah.
But he did.
It's not a bad song.
No.
But it's just when you look at this as a collective, which we are, you have to, things start dwindling down, and that's just the last one. So so Jay, tell us your reason as to why Cooped Up was your least favorite.
I don't want to beat a dead horse with that because I do have another one that was a close second. But first of all, I want to say I don't think there's a bad track on this album. Right. This is one of those albums that I legitimately, when I start it, I listen to it from beginning to end. I don't skip a track. The reason that I had Cooped Up there is because to me it felt the most contrived and the most let's write a single song. It didn't feel like the rest of the album feels cohesive as you're following the emotions of how he's feeling and when he's writing and all that kind of stuff. And even though lyrically some of that is in the song, it just felt like, okay, let's grab Roddy Ricch, who had a huge song a couple years ago. Let's just make a song together, and we're going to have these two big names on this track, and it's going to be vibey. I personally did not, even though I have never skipped the song and I like it, I'm not a huge fan of Roddy Ricch's verse on that. I don't, his flow in general, like he's not an artist that I listen to solo. Similar to like what you were saying with Doja Cat, I have never gone out of my way to listen to a Roddy Ricch song. And that's not to say that he's not talented at what he does. It's just not really my cup of tea. And the way that you feel like The Weeknd outshined Post on that song, I really feel like it was Post Malone and then they just kind of like threw Roddy on it. It didn't really feel like, it didn't feel to me like Roddy was trying to even get on Posty's level. Like it just, I don't know. He was
getting the pub on being on the album, but not.
Yeah. And again, this is like me being nitpicky, but but so there's that. The other track that I had was Waiting for a Miracle. I think it's a beautiful song. I think it is completely out of place on this record, especially for the place that it's located. I don't think that it fits. When I'm alone in One Right Now, placing this as a sandwich between those two feels like, I wonder if maybe that's why you had issues with One Right Now, is because those two tracks back to back are so fundamentally different in every way. I mean, Waiting for a Miracle is almost like this slow ballad. And then you've got One Right Now, which is this upbeat kind of more dancey club kind of track. Yeah. And I don't feel like that song, I almost felt like could have been the last song as well. Like that's the outro, is just kind of this really mellow, like, all right, now we're coming down from the high that we've been in on this album. Now we've got this. It almost like, I think in it, and I also think if you bookend Reputation and Waiting for a Miracle, I think that's a great first and last track. So I think we're both like not so much nitpicking the song as just the structure of the album and the order of things. Yeah. I think if you put One Right Now right after Wasting Angels and you put Waiting for a Miracle at the end after New Recording, I think it changes the feel of the album as you're listening to it. So I think it's a good song on its own, like in its own merit, but I just didn't feel like it really fit with what was around it and what we had been listening to up to that point, especially since well, we'll wait to talk about deep cuts.
No, for sure. I get that. And it's funny that we talk about those tracks. And I looked at the Spotify numbers, and Cooped Up, because it was a single, it's the third most played track on the album. It's been streamed on Spotify over 243 million times. I Like You's over 515 million, and One Right Now is 493 million. So like all the other ones are not, like, only a couple other ones have pushed 50. Yeah. So the other ones are like in the 40s and 30s billion plays. It's still millions of plays per each song. Yeah. But those three are in the hundreds of millions, damn near half a billion. Yeah. So it's up there, but I get what you're saying on both of those. And I think it might be that Waiting for a Miracle did kind of like set me up as like, this is a perfect like end. You're kind of like, you rode that high, and I even think putting One Right Now, like even before or after I Like You, would have been a good spot, because you're still riding that high, and then all of a sudden you gradually go low, and you just end on a low note, which is life. But then to have that roller coaster and pop back up there is.
I think before I Like You, like going from wrapping around my finger to One Right Now to I Like You, I think would have been a good progression there, because then you do go to the sadder song, and those two are kind of like the yin and the yang of it. It's kind of like the middle of the album, and there's like this kind of switch.
And then you're also leading with more straight up Post Malone tracks instead of your feature heavy up top. Yeah. But then you have more post. And we all know this. We listen to music, and Jay, you are a musician, so you know the album composition is like an art all in itself.
Oh, absolutely.
Like having to compose an album based on 8 to 14 tracks and be like, I want to tell a story straight through this. And like some artists do it very, very well, and some artists don't do it very, very well.
And that's very interesting that you say that, because when I have put together my albums, the structure of those is very intentional and very, very like takes weeks for me to like I've sent my entire album to people to have them listen to it from beginning to end, and them been like, you know what, I think 1 through 3 is here, and then I think you should bring 12 up here, and you should do this here and do whatever. But it's
like sending somebody a manuscript or like a book. You're like, read this and tell me what you think, and then they can play around with it a little bit.
But something that's kind of like a tip that I've gotten from multiple people in the music industry is you need to make sure that those first 3 tracks catch the listener, because if 100%. You don't catch them in those first 3, then they're not probably going to stick around for the rest. And I do think that Post does a great job with that on this album. I think Reputation 100%. Is a phenomenal intro track, and then you get into one of the singles with Cooped Up, and then Lemon Tree, which is one of those songs that like it's intriguing to go from Cooped Up to Lemon Tree, because they're so different that it makes me want to know, oh shit, what's he going to do next?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, even just talking about those 3, Jay, I mean, you say, you want to hook them in with those first 3. Reputation, it's this, and there's an intensity to it that kind of is like, ooh, it's that ear hole or that earworm where you're like, I want to know more. I want to keep listening. And then that single hits, and it's like, oh yeah, this is nice. But then Lemon Tree is when you start getting the deep connection lyrically to what's then going to continue happening. So I completely agree. That construction of it with 1 through 3 was spot on.
And I would say the same thing. As like, as we do this podcast more and more, we've done over 260 albums in one way or another. Yeah, we do a lot. Is your first track is gonna reel you in, and then by track 3, we should understand what we're gonna get. Per se. And there's artists that'll throw you for a loop and just get you some stuff. And then there's artists where you look at the track list. Like before I listen to an album, I look at the track list like off the bat, and I look and like, okay, I know these artists, I know these features. Let's see what's gonna happen here. And I like pick and choose when I first listen to an album. I don't listen to it from top to bottom. I like just grab a couple of tracks.
Oh, that hurts me.
Well, I will
as an artist, because what I was saying about how much thought we do put into it.
No,
there's a reason that we put those songs in that order, and it's because that's how we want you to listen to them. So that hurts a little.
I feel you how I feel you completely. But I do listen to it usually from top to bottom. At least once or twice. When I start one album off, though, I want to know. I want to know, and I'll pick like a song from the top 3. And I'll pick the song from the middle 3, and I'll pick a song from the back third, because I want to know what kind of structure I'm gonna get throughout. Fuck you, Brandon. Because
cue Homer Simpson backing into the bushes.
Yeah, exactly.
No. My prime example is Luke motherfucking Bryan. He front loads a lot of his albums, and then leads the back. Puts the shit in the back end. He'll put you 14 tracks. But the last 7 tracks are hot fucking garbage.
Country music in general does this.
Not all.
If not all, but a good chunk of country music does this, where they front load it. They front load it, and then they'll put 5 singles out from that album, and you're like, you basically just put half the damn album out. Like,
and it's the first 5 tracks. It's not even like the 5 singles. It's the first 5 songs, because they front loaded it so far. But I think a lot of the more mainstream artists do that, is they front load, because they think Americans high. Our attention span is very low. We don't listen to a whole album, which is why we talk about like the Hot 100 chart and the singles charts a lot because we don't consume music the same way we used to consume music.
Oh, absolutely not.
So
Not at all.
it's for me. I know I'm gonna listen to that whole album. For example, the new Fall Out Boy album, So Much for Stardust.
Yeah.
I picked a couple of tracks and I was just like, holy shit, this sounds like old Fall Out Boy.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I want to listen to the whole thing, and I've listened to the album probably 15 times easily.
Same thing with All Time Low's new album.
Yes, exactly. But I was so worried about listening to like I'm cautiously optimistic for the new MCR album that I know is going to come eventually, because I'm like, are they gonna do the same thing? Like, what is Gerard gonna do? And like, I'm so like, I want to like pick and choose a couple of songs because I don't want to be like, all right, I'm gonna listen to this whole thing regardless. I know I am, but am I gonna be at least happy when I get to the close to the end? Like, because there's artists that I'm like,
and it's so difficult because the Black Parade is like one of the greatest alternative albums of all time, in my opinion. Like top 5 easily.
Yes.
And so, as a band who has put that out, it's so difficult for fans can be great, but they can also be very, very fickle, and like, I'm out. Like if it doesn't click with what they want. And you got to remember, the Black Parade came out in what, 2007, 2008, I think. 2006 maybe even. Music has changed in the last 18 years, 15 to 18 years, as far as.
And the funny thing is we just want that.
Yeah,
we just want that. We don't like we don't necessarily want that exactly again. Like the Fall Out Boy album is perfect for this argument. Is like we wanted like early 2000s Fall Out Boy. Not that we didn't like the later stuff, but when they got more electronic. But we're like, give me some of this, and they understood the assignment. And they were just like, hey, they're asking for more of this, and they fucking went out and they did it, and it's guys. If you haven't listened to that album, we're doing it in a couple of weeks, if not next week. It's amazing.
It's really good.
It's a fantastic
really
album.
Fucking good.
Yeah.
So like I will pick and choose just because I know as a reviewer I'm going to listen to it all, but I want to know if my attention span is still going to be, as I know my attention span is the size of a freaking newt, is going to be peaked when I get to track 12. Because I've listened to a shit ton of hip hop albums when I've got to like track 28, I'm like, still going.
Yeah.
It's still going. And I'm like, I don't want to listen to this anymore, but I have to because my job.
I think we're coming to the end of that. There was a solid period of time from, I want to say, 2016 to probably even up to 2020, 2021, where even the big, I mean, Kanye was doing it, Eminem was doing it. All of these artists were putting out these 20-track albums. And it's like, as amazing as these artists are, there's no way you're not having minimum 25% of those being filler, if not 50% of them. Like, especially with how quickly those things were getting dropped. Like M dropped 2 20-track albums in like a 2 to 3 year period of time. Like, there's a lot of trash on that album.
The most recent one that just dropped was Tyler the Creator just put out a new Call Me If You Get Lost.
Okay, you can't put Tyler the Creator in that category, though.
He's 24. It's a fantastic, but it's 24 songs and it's an hour and 20 minutes long. I could listen to it.
He's the art house version of hip hop, though.
100%. I get it. But if you've meant for me to listen to that from top to bottom, like it's hard for me to pull an hour and 20 minutes, like and be locked in for that amount of time.
I get it.
But I like Tyler the Creator. I do. Like, we were introduced to him last summer for the first time. Like he is on a full album. It's amazing.
He's wild. He's the Picasso of hip hop.
His new album is very, very good. He took what Donald Glover, Childish Gambino did and this expounded.
Yeah.
And made it better. And I love him. But
we're getting new Childish Gambino in the next year or two, and I'm so fucking excited.
We're getting new Missy Elliott too. Did you see that?
Oh my goodness. Did you guys heard the Skrillex remix that he did with her?
I did not.
After the podcast, search Ratatat or Ratatata or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's Skrillex. No, it's not called that. They took but it's redone. Like you can tell it's not the original vocals from Missy. Like Missy made this specifically with Skrillex, and Skrillex has dropped 2 albums in the last year, so it's not the newest one, it's the previous one.
Okay.
But yeah, it's wild. And Missy, I am so here for the
Timbaland
Missy
just
comeback.
announced that Missy's putting out an album, and so is he's doing an album with Justin Timberlake too.
Yes,
Timbaland's
we haven't
doing
gotten a
one with
JT album in 4 years
ever.
Right.
So it's been a while. So yes, I did just recently see that. And we're here for that as well. So we've talked for a while about music because we can, and it's kind of what we do.
It's great.
And Brandon's just like, guys,
no,
my milkshake's melting.
No, this is good. I'm having a good time.
Brandon knows I'm a talker, and you get me talking about music, and like
so
we can make a 6-hour podcast.
Oh, hey, that's all right. We'll push for the longest episode ever recorded. That's fine.
Challenge accepted.
All right.
So, Brandon, that being said, let's transition back to our second game.
It's time for our second game. It is time for I got nothing. Shatner's Poetry Slam.
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen,
this is Shatner's Poetry Slam.
I'm Captain Kirk.
Shatner's Poetry.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we are back, and now it's my turn to play this game, or to do this game, and you guys have to. So basically, if you don't know what Shatner's Poetry Slam is, I've taken 2 tracks from this album, and I'm going to read the lyrics as monotone as possible, William Shatner-esque, if you will, putting random inflection wherever the hell I feel like it. And Jay and Steve need to figure out which album I am talking about. So if you guys know what it is, shout it out. You don't have to wait for me to be done. It is what it is. I'm reading
so
lyrics.
bad at these games.
Me too.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. All right, so here's your first one, guys. This is why I like to do Shatner's Poetry Slam, because then I don't have to guess. So here's your first one. Couldn't fall asleep at night. I tried with all my might. I thought I knew what you want.
No.
It isn't all that nice, but I guess it will suffice. It's hard to know what you want.
Wrapped around your finger?
Nope. Could you be a little less sour?
Oh, Lemon Tree.
Yep. There you go.
The Could You Be is what sold it for me.
Yeah.
Could you be a little less sour by the hour? I don't know all the words, but
hey, you're good. I love it. All right. Here's the next one, guys. Said you love me, but I don't care.
Wait, one right now.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out where to start on this one, because I was gonna sound like, said you want to have my babies. I fucked you so good, you should pay me. Like I was, maybe that's where I should have started. Can we start over with that one? I'm just kidding.
Yes.
No, but I want to, Steve. I need you to take that, and I need you to take that clip, and I'm gonna make a greeting card that has the voice thing in it, and we're gonna put that in there, and he's gonna give that to his wife.
No, better yet, dude. Better yet, build a bear.
Oh yes,
Push
yes.
Squeeze that one.
Pay me.
And we're gonna send an extra one to Mikey.
And we're gonna dress her like Aaron Brockovich or something.
Yeah.
Dress a Build-A-Bear like.
So funny. Hilarious. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. So that was Shatner's Poetry Slam. Now let's start talking about those deep cut tracks. I mean, we've kind of talked about it here and there and throughout the album. So Jay, we'll start with you this time. What was your deep cut track on this album?
So I have actually a decent list here, but
yeah,
I'm gonna go with Hateful, which is actually on the deluxe version. So I don't know if you guys have heard it, but it is so gritty and it is so raw, and it's him singing. I don't want to say aggressively, but like there's so much emotion in his vocal, and it is just, honestly, if you listen to the deluxe album from beginning to end, it's a better album than if you listen to just the regular album.
Interesting.
Waiting for Never is the other one that was added to the deluxe. But Hateful is the last track on that album, and it's you can hear some of like the alternative influence on there. You can hear like a little bit of Nirvana, you can hear like a little bit of grunge, you can hear a little bit of the like early 2000s alternative vibe to it, but it's still very Post Malone. It's like he took those influences and then he made his own thing, and it's a phenomenal track. And for those listening right now, if you haven't listened to the album yet and you want to, go listen to the deluxe album. Just my recommendation.
I think that's what I'm going to do tomorrow.
And then the other track was Euthanasia. Actually, I thought this was such a unique and cool track, and kind of opposite of Waiting for a Miracle, where I almost felt like Waiting for a Miracle was too slow. I felt like Euthanasia was, even though it was more of a slow kind of a ballad, to me it almost felt like Coldplay or Snow Patrol could sing this song and it would fit in that like kind of arena rock when they've just played their 3 biggest singles and now they're bringing the audience down for a little bit. That's kind of like what that felt to me, and the structure of that song and the way that it was built throughout, and then lyrically it is such a crazy deep song. Yeah, those are I have others, but I'm not gonna take any more. But Hateful is definitely my number one deep cut on there, though, because I think it suffers because it's on the deluxe edition, so a lot of people probably won't listen to it unless they go search out the deluxe edition. I'm just one of those people that, like, if somebody releases an album and I see that there's 2 versions on Spotify, I'm going to always listen to the deluxe, and I'm so glad that I did. And I'll be curious after we're done recording, when you guys go listen to it, what you guys think, because I think it's very possible that it could move itself into the top tier for you guys as well.
Interesting.
I love that. Yeah, I think I might actually check that out tonight when we're done, because yeah, I like it. Steve, what about you, buddy?
So I picked Love Hate Letter to Alcohol. I love the track the same way you guys said there too, and like it hit me because now in one way, like, alcohol's never kicked my ass. I mean, I've gotten in fights because of it a few times. But I think emotionally it's kicked my ass multiple times. My father was an alcoholic, and I know that shit can happen. My mom was an alcoholic. So like there's tendencies like for me to go there. And I do enjoy me a drink every once in a while, so it gets there. And life gets hard sometimes. So like I feel like he's saying in this song, it's like you gotta watch this because this is something that could creep up on you quick. And I have, guardrails in my life that stop me from veering too far off the path either direction. One of them is Brandon. Every once in a while he lets that car go off the fucking rails every once in a while, but hey, it's okay. I love the track. I loved the Fleet Foxes on there because, again, like Jay said, who would have thought like an acoustic indie band and Post Malone would make such a magnificent, like, deep track that just hits you in more ways every time you listen to it. There's something else that hits you on it.
I think we're gonna get more of that, though. There's a recent video that was posted. There's a video that came out last year where Post Malone is talking to Big Sean or somebody else about Angus and Julia Stone and their song Big Jet Plane. And they are kind of a folk duo, like a guy and girl folk duo. And he's talking about it. Well, within the last month, Angus brought him on tour and pulled him out on stage, and they did a duet of that song, and Post sang Julia's part, and it is beautiful. It is one of the best covers I think I may have ever heard. It is phenomenal, and it's another one of those indie like kind of groups, and I would love to hear more of that from Posty.
And I think you're just gonna get more of it too, because there's so much that's like people aren't seeing.
Yeah.
So like there's just a lot there. You're getting more than you could have, thought with. And as our mainstream artists who were underground artists at some point in their existence, they came from somewhere. They've got friends in the industry, and they're becoming more and more unafraid to just grab anyone.
Yeah.
Especially the big names and the Post Malones, the Luke Combs, those artists that are just like the everyday dudes and gals that are out there that are just like the everyday people are like, I've reached the top of this mountain. Who can I pull up with me? Who can I bring to show you? And like, I love that, because it's like this guy's taking enough in his, he's taking every pressure and every bit of energy on to say, y'all need to hear this person too. You need to hear this person. You need to hear that person. And whether you like them or not, it's not going to fall on the new artist. It's all going to fall on Post Malone if they suck.
Yeah.
He's taking all the risk, and he doesn't care because he's Post fucking Malone. Whatever.
Yeah.
He puts out a bad track. Okay, no big deal.
And like, I'm by no means a huge artist, but like there have been times where I've come across kids and I'm like, these guys are way too talented for nobody to be listening to them. And so I've put people like that on tracks with me. Again, not that I'm massive or anything, but that idea of there's plenty of room at the top for all of us. If I have a way to bring more of an audience to you because I believe in you, I believe in your talent, I believe in what you can do, I'm going to do that. And it's so cool that we're starting to see that from some of these bigger artists, and they're pulling people in. I mean, NF's a perfect example of that with the Chasing song that he did. That was a single where he grabbed that girl who covered his song on Instagram, and she was nobody, and then he was like, we're gonna put this out, and he put her on the track with him. Like, I don't know if you guys knew that story.
No.
So that song that he put out several years ago, it was a snippet. It was a 30-second snippet that leaked, and this girl found it and she did a cover of it on Instagram, and it blew up. And he saw it and said, your voice is amazing. I want you to be on this track with me. And so he put her on the track and they put it out. She had like 700 followers or something before that. After that song was released, she was up to like 25,000 or something. Like it put her on the map where she would never have gotten. And it was just because somebody gave her that chance. And like, it's so cool. I love it.
Right.
That's amazing. I really do like when these bigger artists will actually go through and take the time to take that step, because as an artist, you get demo tapes from other people. You hear stuff that we don't hear.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think I will say this once again, and I've beat this horse as much as I possibly can. We need to protect TikTok at all costs.
Yeah.
Because not only is it getting us news around the country and the world that we're not seeing anywhere else because the mainstream media and Meta doesn't want us to see it, we are hearing voices that we may never hear because of where we live. The two state legislators from Tennessee who spoke very eloquently over their situation, we would never have heard of them if not for TikTok.
Are you talking about the guy who got kicked out? And
the two guys that got kicked out.
And did you know they've
been now they're back? Right? Yep, they're back now. But Tennessee did something right finally. But but there's millions of people around this country that you don't know about, you haven't heard of, you musically, comedy wise. I mean, there's funny people everywhere, and you're like, I would pay to go see that guy. Where is he going to be? And I mean, when I can get the big fella back on stage here and we get him going again, we're gonna put some stuff on TikTok and actually get him some stuff out there.
Yeah.
Because it, it it's such a great actual, like, I don't want to call it clean social media because it's definitely not that, especially if you've been on that dark side of TikTok. But it's
Theo Vaughn, anyone?
Yeah.
Right.
It's the Mikey version of TikTok. So it's where you hang out with Mike. And he's okay there. He's like the mayor of that side of TikTok. He'll appreciate that joke. It's you need this other media presence that's not owned by the government. By our government, I could say. It's not owned by our media. So I'll make that joke, but I feel like if not for those artists and the other social media presence that we have out there, we wouldn't know who some of these bands are, who some of these artists are, because unfortunately touring is very fucking expensive.
Yeah.
And concert tickets are also very expensive. I know I've bought many of them this year.
I mean, I haven't toured since I was playing in punk bands in my early 20s. The last live show that I played was February 2020 before COVID hit. That was the last time that I've been on a stage.
It's ridiculously expensive and it's hard.
But despite that, I have 70,000 followers on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that platform gave me. I have my most recent single has 15,000 streams, and the one prior to that has almost 40,000 streams. I have not toured under this artist name. I have not played concerts under this artist name. I have done nothing out there as Architect the Dreamer, and somehow I still have this huge, super loyal following, and it's because of things like TikTok. Like I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now at the level that I'm doing it without something like TikTok.
It's a grind, but you put the effort in and people see it, and then you get a following. You're building a grassroots following, and I would say it's almost harder now, even with social media, because our attention spans are like that, and you have to catch somebody in like the first like 5 seconds. If you don't, they're gone. You know, like I know you've done videos with like the Uber creators too, and some things you found some people around that have helped, but I'm taking you under their wing a little bit. But at the same time, is if you didn't keep up your level of, expertise, people are going to leave, and you kept up on your end.
At the same time, I'll say this about Jay. I said it on one of his most recent TikToks today, like as we were getting ready for this podcast. Actually, I think is when I commented it. Like the music that Jay creates, and I'll even say, going back to what we're doing today, Post Malone, like, and other artists too. You guys do music that you relate to, and what brings about the emotions inside of you. If you create music that is yours and that you feel, and that isn't just produced by outside whomever, the music's going to be great. You know what I mean? So, like the video that you posted on TikTok, Jay, I think it was today. The
Dear God one.
Yes.
Like, April 13th, by the way. April 13th.
What?
If somebody looks for the video, it was posted April 13th.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm trying to help them out. Today is not. It's May 15th or May 5th for the.
Oh, of Jay's?
My video. It was posted April 12th.
His video was posted mid-April.
Yeah. So go check that out, guys. It's if you want to see an artist who
maybe check it out. I'm not sure.
I would say
it's a pretty controversial video, but
coming from me, and you both know where I stand on that. It's one of the most emotionally driven songs, and one that like I appreciate out of you, Jay, because although like things are, what it is, but I can appreciate you for the music that you create because I know it's authentic and true to you, and you're not kowtowing to anybody but yourself, and coming back to it, Post Malone does the exact same thing. He doesn't kowtow to anybody. He just does his own thing, rides his own lane, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, well, fuck you too. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how it goes. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out there. So
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So All right, guys, you want to hear my deep cut track?
Yes.
Yeah, go for
I
it.
actually got two.
Ooh.
Look at you.
I know it, but they kind of go one and the same. It's "I Like You," a happier song, and "I Cannot Be," a sadder song.
Nice.
I picked them both together. I love that these two are back to back on this album, because you get that instant juxtaposition between the happy and then the immediate goes complete opposite. The reason I chose these two were for the fact that, although they were separate tracks, I feel like they were meant to be listened to together.
Yeah.
Back to back. You know, you get some artists who would put something like "Happier" song toward the top and then have 8 or 10 tracks in between and then have sadder song. But like these two back to back were just perfect. You get that feeling of happy and euphoria, and then it goes to the direct opposite of that. So for me, those two were just super awesome back to back. So I loved it.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, we've made it to the point. Let's give our final thoughts on this album overall and give it an arbitrary rating from 1 to 10. I'll start. This album is really good. Just point blank, 5 words. This album is really good. Post is a phenomenal vocalist and storyteller. Like Steve, this is the first time I had ever heard an album straight through, outside of like singles that I would have heard on like the radio.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely an artist who is growing on my intrigue list of like, I need to listen to more of this guy because I want to listen to more, outside of just this podcast. We've touched on it a little bit here and there, and we've talked about it. I wish though that the construction of the album would have been a little bit better. It wasn't awful, but it could have been better based on things that we've talked about tonight.
And part of me wonders if that was label, like putting their hands in the pot or something like that. Like maybe he didn't have as much say in that, which is a thing. I mean, that labels do that. So that
for sure. No, absolutely. That really doesn't deter my rating of this album. I'm giving this one a 9.5 out of 10. So yeah. So Steve, what about you?
As Brandon said, it's better than I expected. I came into this album with moderate expectations. It exceeded them and then some. I had listened to Beer Belongs and Bentleys ever since I actually listened to it on the way home today from work. And I enjoyed that one as well. I think I didn't listen to Post Malone at first because of the shtick and like everything else. I just kind of like read through and like was like, I'll get to it when I get to it. And I feel like there's a lot of artists that happen like that. You're just like, that guy's super duper popular, and I'm gonna go back in my old punk rock days and be like, popular, he sucks. Nope, not doing that. And so I was kind of just like, okay. And I felt like he was just a hip hop artist that was just kind of trying to just do things differently, and I misjudged that completely, 100%. This album though is incredibly well written. Even the tracks that are more fun and a little bit more light hearted, still are well written for what they are, and they're recorded to be what he wanted them to be. They're not supposed to be this profound thing. It's just him having some fun.
Which is good. We need more fun posting.
Exactly. We need more fun posts. We need more fun. Period in the world. We need more fun, and I think from what I've seen of him in the last, year and a half with his social media and things he's done publicly, he seems like he's having a lot of fun. Which could hopefully help with some healing that he's got to deal with as well on his own personal side of things. Because that just means we're gonna get good music either way. We're gonna get a good person. And for someone who has gone through a lot of trauma on his own, someone that's going to be here for a while longer, where listening to his old music, that was in question a little bit. Just things that were going on with him. That was in question if he was going to stick around, per se. Not just as a musician, but as a person, like as a living human being. It was up in the air there for a minute as you listen to his music.
And that was right around the time period where Triple X Tentacion had passed away, and then Juice WRLD passed away, and there was kind of this trend where these kind of vibey pseudo emo hip hop artists were their trauma and their dark side was not being taken seriously by those around them. And I remember seeing some videos of Posty touring around that time, back in 2018, 2019, and he did not look healthy on stage at all.
He looked thin and
He
just
was thin. He could
out.
tell that he was not sober, and it was very sad. And so to see him come out of that is so wonderful and refreshing.
And I will say, we talked about on this podcast a lot about the effects of the pandemic, and one of the effects of the pandemic that I think has been the most positive effect of the pandemic is for a good portion of the world to admit that it's okay to not be okay.
Mm.
And mental health is a struggle. And a lot of us that didn't think we were dealing with mental health, realized very quickly we had our own demons, and we were covering them up very much as well. So I think that is one of the things that came out of the pandemic that actually is going to be a positive going forward, is that we all understand that we have, first of all, we're all somewhere on the autistic spectrum. Second of all, we all have our own trauma and our own baggage, and it's time that we start to work through those things. And you have a lot of people around you to help you work through those things. So the effects of mental health is one of the great things that come out of the pandemic, is that we know that this is a problem, and we're trying to fix it.
Yeah,
we still haven't fixed it yet, guys, but we're working on it. Album wise, I loved it. I thought it was great. I'm gonna go with a 9. Just composition issues again, same as Brandon. I felt like it could have been a little better, but it's also nitpicky. Um, I feel like it's a fantastic one, and I'll keep an eye out for new stuff, because he's rumoring to put new stuff out soon, so we'll see what happens. So Jay, what about you? We'll finish this up.
Yeah. I want to real quick just touch on the last thing that you said there. I think something that the pandemic brought was a safe space for people to let their masks down. Like, I found out that I am autistic, and it made so much of my life up to this point make so much more sense. Things about me, things about my personality, about the way that I interact with people and the way that I view life and things like that. And it doesn't make facing those things any easier, but it does kind of give some validation to, there's a reason behind those things. And I think that because everybody was, do a callback, cooped up for the better part of 2 years, a lot of people were cooped up with themselves, and it was either you confront your shit or you don't. And I think when the busyness of life happens, a lot of us have a tendency to just bury that and try to continue pushing forward. And there was no way to do that during that period of time. And so I think that there was a huge, just pullback of people's masks over that. And I think that has kind of led to people being more comfortable in their own skin. I mean, Brandon, you know my journey more than most do, and I think you can attest to the shit that I've been through. Probably would kill some people. Like, the stuff that I've experienced, and the fact that I am still here is a testament to, I think, to the fight that I have, but I think it's also a testament to the people that I have in my life, you being one of those, and the people that have always kind of been there too. I mean, I know you and I don't talk on like a daily basis or anything, but like, I think there's that understanding that like we're there for each other. If some shit is really going on, and like we really need that brother to talk to, like, that's there. And specifically for men, because that's something that I push a lot on my social media, is mental health awareness for men, because that's something that is even more new to kind of being accepted, and there's still a lot of tabooness to that. There's still a lot of toxicity around what is a man. But that's been something that has been really refreshing to see. Some of the most, like, you look at them and you're like, that dude's a fucking lumberjack, and he's like in touch with his emotions, and like that's fucking cool. So that was just my last little touch on what you said. But as far as the album is concerned, this was my album of last year. This is my favorite album of the year. And to be honest, it wasn't close. When I think about the music that came out last year, I know that there was a lot of good stuff that came out, but I could not tell you very many other albums that came out last year, which is a product of like me being super ADHD, and if I don't see it, I don't remember it. But it's also like there are certain things that are just that memorable, and this album was one of them. And I think it's funny because when you originally started talking to me about being on the show, we had a completely different album that we were going to talk about, and that album saved my life, but you guys were not too high on it. And so when we kind of came back, and that album, like that was so far in the past that we were like, we need to do something more recent, and we chose this. I was super curious to see what you guys thought, because I didn't know what you were going to think. And I am, first of all, very glad. It makes me happy that you both enjoyed this album, because I do truly think this album is from top to bottom is just so good.
Yeah.
I know that like because of the segments that we do, we were kind of forced to nitpick a little bit, but which is good. It's good to find criticism, because that can make things better. But to me, this is damn near as close to a perfect album as came out last year. And every track on it, like it's a 10 for me. Obviously, I'm the one that chose it. I'm the one that that wanted to talk about it. But
yeah.
It's a 10 for me, and it's so cool. Steve, you talked about going back and listening to Beer Bongs and Bentleys, and that was his second album, and that was the first album that like I started getting into Posty. And I remember Stoney had been out for a little bit, and I had heard a couple singles off of it, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. And then that album came out, and I remember walking through a Target, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna buy it. So I bought the physical album, and my car at the time still had a CD player, because we're old, for all the Gen Z people listening. Right. And I put it in there, and I listened to it from top to bottom, and I was just like, I was blown away at that. And then like Hollywood's Bleeding came out, and that was so good. But it feels like every album Post puts out is just better than the last one, and that doesn't take away from how good the previous ones are. It's just a testament to his continued growth as an artist, and him pushing the boundaries not only of the music industry on and what an artist can put out, but pushing the boundaries of himself and what he's able to do. And I would not be shocked at all if there was a straight up country folk song that was just him, not a cover, not a duet or anything like that, just like a song that he wrote, because he writes that, he writes songs like that. And it would not shock me at all. It also wouldn't shock me if we saw a hardcore track. I mean, we've got kind of the resurgence of metal lately with Bad Omens and Sleep Token, and like some of these bands that are taking over TikTok, and then now kind of like coming into mainstream, to the point I saw yesterday Chris Daughtry covered a Sleep Token song at one of his concerts. I was like, never in a million years would I have thought I would hear Daughtry singing Sleep Token. Right. But it wouldn't shock me if he put out a track in that vein. There's been videos of him at concerts recently screaming in some of his own songs that didn't even have screaming in them originally. And so like I'm really excited to see the next evolution, because as hyped as I am on this album, it would not shock me in the least if this next album came out and I was like, oh my god, like, and you brought him up earlier, Childish Gambino to me was the same thing. Camp came out, and that album was so fucking good as a hip-hop album. And then because the internet came out, and I was like, holy shit, he's doing R&B, he's singing, he's doing some vibey stuff, he's switching it up a little bit more. And then Awaken My Soul came out after that, and I still don't know what to describe that album as. It's so unique. And I love artists that with every album they progress significantly and they grow. And my favorite band of all time is Linkin Park, and that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about them is if you listen to Meteor and Hybrid Theory, but then you go to Minutes to Midnight and it's a more mature but still kind of a similar sound. And then you go to like their later albums after that, you can see the growth in them and the maturity in them in their songwriting, and they still have some of that classic Linkin Park feel to it, but it's also they're not afraid to say fuck the standard, we're going to make the music that we want to make. And so yeah, but it's a 10 for me.
I love it.
Awesome.
I love it.
So that's awesome. So Jay, so we talked about you're kind of the jack of all trades. You do music, you do TikTok, you're doing, some stuff here and there. You got your other podcasts, you're on other podcasts. You're a very busy man.
Yes.
So where can our fans find you?
Yeah. The easiest place and probably the best place, the central place, is just going to be TikTok, which is at ATD Music, all one word. And then my Instagram is the same thing, but throw an underscore at the end. So ATD Music _. I post way more on TikTok than I do anywhere else. And then my TikTok has all of my links. So that has all the links to my music and all that stuff. I have one podcast that I've been doing for about a year now with Mikey, who was on your guys' Kings of Leon episode, which was phenomenal, by the way. And Mikey's one of my best friends in the world, and it's called the Yankee Hoser Show, and it is nothing but deranged debauchery and laughter, and it's a riot, and it's this life is so serious a lot of times, and that's just Mikey and I's way of letting go, letting loose, and just being our most feral and just like talking about I mean, like we talked about in one of our last episodes about getting artificially inseminated by Cadbury eggs. So like this is the kind of stuff that like it's ridiculous.
Highbrow journalism. Journalism.
Absolutely. And then I have a new project with my buddy Jason Quinn called Knights of Nerdia, which is going to be launching here in the next month or two, which is I'm a massive nerd. I love everything nerd culture, from Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter to Star Wars to Marvel and DC Comics to Dungeons and Dragons to I'm a huge gamer. So like we have all these different nerd things, and a lot of podcasts focus on either the current, like what's the new stuff coming out, or they focus on like they're going to run through something. And we had this idea of what if every episode we just dove into a culture. So our first episode is going to be the Marvel culture, everything from comics to video games to movies to the TV shows to cartoons, everything. We're just going to talk about Marvel fandom as a whole, and we've got an entire year's worth of topics laid out, everything from Pokemon to Nintendo to Dungeons and Dragons to Lord of the Rings, and we just really wanted a place for us to be able to have fun and talk about our fandoms and not be beholden to we're going to review this comic or we're going to review this movie. Like, no, let's just talk about shit we love, and let's include the people that are going to follow us on that journey and create a community, which nerd community is either really, really good and really fun, or it's really toxic. And Star Wars is a perfect example of that. I would say Star Wars probably is one of the most toxic fandoms of anything. But we just wanted to have a fun place to talk about that. So those are those two projects. I'm a musician, I'm a music producer, I'm an audio engineer, I'm a graphic artist. I make everything for myself. I make the music, I write it, I record it, I engineer it, I make the artwork for all of my stuff. I make my own merch, I do all of that. So I do a lot, but all of that is in the link in my bio on my TikTok. So you guys don't have to remember any of that. Like, just follow me on TikTok. Absolutely. Keep up to date on those links there. And that's going to be the best way to follow me. So
I love it.
Awesome.
I love it. And we'll have your links in our show notes too, so that guys go check the description of this episode. You'll find links to Jay's TikTok. Steve, they will also find links for where we're at. So Steve, tell all of our fans, or Jay's fans who are listening to our episode, if you are from Jay's circle, hello,
subscribe to their show.
Absolutely.
Yes, do that.
Steve, where else can everybody find us?
We are on every major platform for podcasts, for audio podcasts that you can think of. All the big ones, the little ones too. Think about it. If you search us, you'll find us there. Check out our Facebook and Instagram for socials. TikTok as well is building. We're adding more and more content to there. We have just started in the last 2 months, started adding YouTube content. And I will tell you guys, we have added a new video every day for the last 2.5 months. Mm-hmm. So there is over 60 entries of content. It's well over, I think, as of recording or as of release, there will be well over 50 hours of content on YouTube of podcast clips, stupid videos that we've done. If you haven't yet checked out at least one of the Glitterbeard videos, I will recommend checking out at least one of them. If you don't know what I'm talking about, back in February, I lost a bet. And because I lost the bet, and it's all due to Encanto, is what screwed me apparently.
The Disney movie?
The Disney movie. We did a top 5, was top 5 or top 10.
Top 10.
Top 10 songs of the year based on the Billboard Top 25, and we did a draft, and I picked Bruno from Encanto as one of my top 10.
Don't talk about Bruno.
And I got so much shit for that I lost. And because I lost, I had to do a Glitterbeard, and I did a rainbow Glitterbeard, guys.
Yes.
Rainbow. Not only did I do a Glitterbeard, but I made it really fucking hard, and you guys chose rainbow because why wouldn't you? Thanks, guys. So we have filmed multiple videos of this. I'm going to use these clips throughout the year on various things. And there's at least 1 or 2 of them up by now on TikTok. Go check those out. Yeah. I'm gonna own it all the way. Don't worry.
I love it.
I'm making sure I get a couple of Bud Light cans involved in there as well.
Nice.
Because I'm gonna change
drag when you drink those.
Oh, 100%. And I we're going to Tennessee later this year too, so there's gonna be some funness there. I might need bail money. You live close by, help me out. So
it's only 6 hours away from Nashville.
Only 6 hours away, and I'm bringing 2 Brandons with me, and hopefully one of them has money. But if not, I'm gonna give Brandon my credit card before I do anything stupid. To get me what I'm not sure which Brandon, but I'm gonna give one of them my credit card before I do anything stupid when we're in Tennessee. Because motherfucker will get arrested. So guys, find us everywhere. Check us out on YouTube. Give us a subscription. Follow us on there. We are building ever so slowly, but we're still building on that platform because Meta is eventually going to take us down. It's going to happen. I am going to piss off Zuckerberg at some way, shape, or form, and we're going to get in trouble there. I'm okay with it. But that being said, Brandon, there is one platform we are on, but we don't post on, and that is Twitter. And why are we not on Twitter, Brandon?
Because fuck Elon Musk.
And Kid Rock. On that sake, guys, we will see you guys on the next episode of the No Smoke Goes podcast. Thank you, Kid Rock. You've made me so happy. Please keep playing your character in Joe Dirt.
Oh my gosh, Jay.
If this doesn't tell you how much I love Post Malone.
Oh, I love that.
You should just take that clip and that's how you close the episode out. Is just
Posty.
I got it. Guys, you'll have to check it out. He's got a Funko Pop of Post Malone. On that note,
here's
guys,
the best part though. He's wearing a dress with ducks on it. That's the Funko that this is.
Nice.
Awesome.
I love it. Steve, you got to wear a dress with ducks on it.
Let's go to Goodwill.
Notes, my goats. Notes, my goats.